yourself.
Lately, I've had a sudden urge to just challenge myself creatively. Build things that I don't normally build and don't even plan for them. Just go straight in head first and build whatever I can based on the subject. This video is a demo of a series that I'm wanting to do that's very interactive for you guys. Today I'm going to be building a spooky mansion in spirit of Halloween, but I want you guys to give me ideas for the next episode. I just want you to tell me what you would like me to build, whether it be something like a beach house, a stranded island themed build, a pumpkin house, that kind of stuff. It doesn't even have to be a house, just something you want me to build. It can be something easy, something hard, something crazy, as long as it can be done in like a 20-minute video. But this was a really fun thing to do, and it turned out great, I think. But anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoy. I hope you do learn from this, and please check out the description for instructions on how you can share your own creative designs based on this video to me. I'd love to see them. Anyways, guys, without further ado, smack that like button, and I hope you enjoy. Let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so in the spirit of Halloween, I figured it would be a very nice start to just do like a spooky mansion. And I don't really have too much practice in this because I am not, the kind of guy who just goes and builds random, spooky mansions when he has, free time. But I do kind of have an idea, and this is kind of where I do want to place it. So let's just kind of go ahead and start building. I know that I do want a center tower. And I think that's going to be about a 5x5 type tower. So that's pretty much right in that range. And then we'll kind of bring that back around just like that. So that's a 5x5 tower. And I think we're going to have just about each. It's basically just going to be like gigantic cubes of 5x5x5 all the way up for like 3 different heights. So it'll do kind of like, let's see. That's 4, so just like that, and then as you can see, there's basically 5 blocks space up and then 5 blocks across. That way, we're gonna have, a very, very nice amount of room in order to be able to do things like windows and whatnot. But I guess I just need to stack this all the way up, and like I said, I'm gonna do it 3 times. Now, the only thing I am considering is bringing it out by 1, like on the sides. But that might actually make it look bad. So let's just stick with this, and then we'll add anything to the outside that we need. But I'm going to go ahead and get this stacked up. You know what? On second thought, 3 might be a little too high. I think for the main little center tower, that'll be just fine. And we're going to just go ahead and add another portion over here that's just going to be 3x5. So instead of it being 5 on both sides, it's just going to come out to about 3. And be pretty much the same height on the first level, so just kind of out to here. Now, this isn't necessarily an organic style. This is going to be very similar to the style that I normally do things in, but it's still going to be one of those random, placement type things. So that's why it's still going to be a challenge for sure, because I am not used to, doing this type of stuff. And I kind of want to make this one a little bit smaller, actually. So maybe we can bring it down to about that level, and then it would be a little weird, and we're gonna have to put a pillar to there, but it would be a little bit weird, but I don't know, maybe we could do that, and then bring these up by 2 as well as these, so that way this little piece is a little bit bigger than this piece. So what I'm gonna do now is go in between each wall and pretty much fill it in with a combination of oak wood and jungle wood planks. And that extra color is definitely going to help in there. That jungle wood looks really nice. The next thing we're going to do is pretty much start building out a shape for our roof. I just have to see. I'm going to start by kind of doing one thing over here. I'm pretty sure we're just going to have one kind of out like that. One going 2 up, another going 2 up, and then kind of following that same design on the other side. So just little patterns of 2 all the way. I feel like with spooky mansions, you've always got to go with that really pointy roof style. Otherwise, it's just going to look like a shack, and it's not going to look that great. But I'm pretty much just going to go through on all of these and add this little roof where we've got 1 on the outside and then 2 going up all the way up until they meet the center. And you can already see there's going to be a huge height difference here, which is going to be very important because that's going to provide a very nice looking style to this. And then once we add in like little side windows that kind of pop out of the side and do all of that kind of stuff, it's going to look really cool. But I'm going to go ahead and start getting everything kind of connected up and kind of get these built up. And it's pretty much the same process. I'm just going to kind of go through and do that. And then from there, we're going to go through on the sides here and just kind of connect these up. So I'm going to do that and I'll be right back. And now the most important part is definitely going to be this centerpiece. So we probably ought to go ahead and start working on the roof for that. I don't necessarily know how I'm going to do this because it is going to be kind of weird. But it's just supposed to be a straight point, so I guess we're just going to kind of take it all around. And the thing about points is you don't ever want to have these, corner pieces done, because then that's going to kind of take away from it. But I think in theory, if we just kind of follow the same pattern, oh no, I broke something. If we just kind of follow the same pattern that we've been following and just kind of, mix it up a little bit, then I think it should turn out pretty smoothly either way. So what I like to do when I'm building these towers, especially since this is going to be a spooky mansion, is I start by kind of placing a very, very square shape and then building all the way up until I'm happy with the shape. And then I literally just start breaking stuff and try and, develop an organic shape out of it. Because if I just, wanted to go 2 blocks all the way up like I've been doing, then you'll see in just a moment that's going to look pretty bad, especially once it's all kind of said and done. It's going to look more like a, that's definitely not the final design, but it's getting there. It's not as bad as I figured it would look, but if we start kind of rounding things out, especially once we get some slabs in there, which I guess we may as well do, but start doing stuff like that and then kind of bringing it up a little bit in the centers as well, and just kind of doing stuff like that, or even kind of having that design going on, which the idea here is that this is a spooky mansion, and spooky mansions, they're built to look really nice because they weren't spooky at the start. But then they started kind of wearing down, and that's the whole point. It's just supposed to look like it's been really broken down and just a very scary, not taken care of place. Something bad happened to the owner, and they're just not nice. But that's pretty much the main key here. And once you kind of get that design going, it gets really easy to, carve it out and shape it. And one thing we are going to do once it's all said and done is, I kind of like that, but nah, it'd be a little weird. Definitely a little weird. I guess, no, I'm not going to do that either. We're just going to choose 2 different sides to kind of curve it on. And then, ooh, that's something we could do is kind of do that. Then bring it up in the center. And then you don't want to have a full block on the top. You definitely want to get a fence and do something with that, because it's just going to look a lot better. You know what, let's take those away and let's try that. No, it needs to definitely be a little bit thinner. Maybe we'll do a full block and then that, and then maybe that'll look better. We'll do that. I think it's definitely getting there, but you'll see at the end what we're going to do. It's going to make it look a lot better. But the next thing I need to do before I continue that is go through on all of these little connected pieces and add these little prongs. So I'm going to do that really quickly, and I'll see you guys in just a moment. There we go, and the main architecture is pretty much done, although I would like to add a foundation of brown hardened clay. This has been a bit of a tradition of mine now to just kind of add in that little faux foundation just out of one material to give it that really solid feel. It's a little weird, but it all kind of blends really well, and it turns out looking much sturdier than it would be without it. So I'm just going to kind of go around and add that around the edge like I'm doing here. And again, I will see you guys in just a moment. It's important to just kind of have a little general shape planned out and then slowly just start kind of mixing it up. It's supposed to look like a bunch of mud kind of gathered up, and just like a really rough foundation. That's all that's supposed to really do. But the next thing we're going to do is add some beams that kind of hold to everything and hold to the support. Now, I would like to keep in mind that this is not going to be the final design. I'm not pre-prepared or anything. I haven't seen what this is going to look like. It's just what I'm doing here is I'm building it as clean as I can so that once we go and spookify it, there's room for tearing everything up. And that's my biggest recommendation out of this. I want this series to not be a tutorial, but just a way for you to get tips and tricks on building these types of things. And it's really challenging for me, but the whole key in this type of style is to build it as clean cut as you can and then just destroy it. And you'll see what I mean by that at the end, and it's going to turn out really cool. But this whole thing that I'm doing here, I'm pretty much going to do around the entire house. So I'll see you guys once I am done doing that. Now the next thing we're going to do is pretty much add in little extra windows that are really just there for the style. And the way we're going to do that is by just kind of building out. So we're going to start with a shape like that and kind of bring it out like that. And then I'm going to have one below it. And we're actually going to change those to where the textures are facing upwards, even though I don't think in them, like, you know, it'll really matter in the end. But we're basically just going to bring out like a design to where it looks like the window's kind of sticking out. So just like that, and then that one will be there. And we're going to bring those all the way up, so about to there, I think, maybe even a little bit lower. But I am going to basically connect each piece with spruce, just like that. And then I'm going to kind of have it to where it's doing that, and just kind of looking like it's an overhang. Something where the window itself it was added on, you know, after construction kind of thing. Not like a, you know, included in the purchase type thing. And then I think to add support over here, we're going to add another piece there and then kind of curve it in like that. That way it's really got support, looks good overall, and it kind of adds to the overall structure and design. And the way it really helps out is whenever you kind of see it from the side there, it's just an extra little thing that is going to really bring all of the spookiness in this all out and just make it look really cool. But I'm going to add a few of these around the place, and once I've done that, I will get right back with you guys. Alright, so as you can see, we've got one there, and then we've got a window in the back. And now it does look a little weird, but once everything's all thrown together, it's going to look a lot better. And when I say thrown together, I mean thrown around. Literally, we are about to wreck things up, kind of like what I've done here. The main thing that's going to set this build apart from others and make it look spooky is if we just tear it up and really make it look like it's falling apart. And in some cases, you can even add holes in the build to where it looks like it's literally falling apart. And then with glowstone and some, you know, cobwebs, it really all will look pretty cool. And the thing about it too is that you cannot forget the little pieces that drip down like this as well. That's really going to help the whole design. A lot of people forget to do that outer lip, but when you do that and make it droop down like that, it really gives it character and just completes the overall design. And stairs are definitely encouraged with it as well. But just kind of go around and do that and kind of beat up the roofs. And with this one, it's going to be the hardest just because it does have the biggest shape and there's, you know, much more to work with here. But just kind of play with it and then take a look back on each, you know, place that you do or each placement and just see what you're doing and just make sure that it looks good overall. I do want to change that so it kind of has that little extra curve. And then maybe we can get rid of that and do another one on the side. That way it's kind of, you know, it gives you that little odd placement. So you don't normally see that. You would normally see something like that. So adding that just kind of adds to it. But yeah, I'm going to go through and just kind of tear things up and see where we're at in just a moment. Alright, so I've kind of done that to this one as well, and that one just to kind of show you guys what it's like when you don't have that. Now, without it, it just looks like a standard build that's really bland, but with it, it really showcases that design and just shows you what you're going for. It shows any viewer of the build what you are going for. You're going for a really, you know, old and beat up shack that's just really spooky and the kind of thing that you can tell the owner's not nice because they don't take care of it. And you can really see the difference between something like that and then something like that. And I just wanted to go over this with you guys to kind of give you some tips on beating up your roof, which is kind of funny. But one of the things I like to do is just add a few stairs there on the edge. And you can really mix it up. You can go on the inside and do that, and then add one there, you know, do some on the side. It's really just about truly like placing really random you know, things. So like here on the side, I'll do that to kind of curve it up, and then we'll kind of do that. And I really like to smooth out the the very front just by kind of doing something like that, and then kind of bringing it up so that it really just kind of has that curve. It looks like it's worn down. It's not really as pointy anymore. And then every now and then, you know, kind of adding into the support of the back, and just kind of really, like, I keep saying it, but it's true. I don't know why I just did that. But I keep saying it, but it is extremely true. Just literally tearing it up and destroying what you've already placed, and just adding in a very, what looks like temporary, you know, patch. Something that the owner tried to fix, maybe tried to care about it, but totally didn't put in any effort whatsoever. And maybe even take that away so it's really curved. And then you can also do stuff like that, so it looks like it's even patched and just tried to put back together and all that kind of stuff, and just patched up. That's the whole purpose of this, is to make it look patched up. And that is pretty much that. And then another thing, and now it's kind of the fun part, is getting stuff like oak fences or jungle fences will look better. And then some wooden trap doors, and we're just going to go through and kind of add some windows like that. It doesn't really do much, but it does enough, and I really like how it looks with them, because it adds like a smaller set of windows that's just better looking. It adds to the color and just the overall style of everything, and you know, add them in random places. And if you're doing an interior on this build, make sure that you do them on appropriate levels. Now, I'm not doing an interior on this build because in order to truly capture that thrown together shack that I did not pre-plan at all, I had to basically, you know, scrap the whole thought of doing an interior because it's definitely one of the harder things to do when you're doing these random builds. And yeah, so that's pretty much the build itself. Now, the one thing I do want to do is add a overhang, like right over here, because this is where the entrance is going to be, pretty much right in this doorway. So I'm just going to kind of carve that out, and you would have a door here as normal. Don't know why I just did what I did, but whatever. So we're just going to add in the normal blocks and kind of bring them down. And then, like I said, this is where your door would go. So we're just going to get like an oak stair, just kind of do that. And then we're going to get a door, preferably a spruce door, just like that. And I'm going to keep that there for now because I do want to do like at least a little bit of a pathway and just kind of try and add to it. I don't know how much time we have left, but I'm going to try and edit these down to where they're short, you know, little helpful videos. And then we're going to go ahead and grab some oak fences there and just build up a basic little pillar. So all the way up here like that. And I really want it to be low here at the front, and then we're just going to really find that curve, but it's still supposed to look like it's sagging down and not the cleanest thing in the world. So we're just going to do that, kind of bring it up to there, and maybe do that. And the next thing is just to pretty much fill it in. So you definitely want to keep the flow going, but in some cases you can kind of stretch it out to where it's kind of used to. So as you can see, there's really no pattern here. I'm just kind of placing blocks, and that's, in the end, like I keep repeating it, that's really all you're doing. It's just placing blocks until something looks good. That's the secret to like my building style anyways. It's just, you know, trying things. Don't be afraid to just place a block because it's as easy as pressing right click to get rid of it. And now the one tip I do have is to pretty much like bring it down to where you can have a full block of oak and then really thicken up the edges. So just like in some places, not on all of them, but just kind of really, you know, build out the shape. It shouldn't look too thin, especially with a style like this, but just kind of build up that thickness on the side and pretty much do that. Like that is essentially done. I might actually raise this up though, just by one block. And that's another thing too, since it is kind of dropping down, you can have that curve. But to finish it up, we're just going to add a basic little pathway. I'm just going to use coarse blocks and some spruce and just kind of mix it in with the grass. And this isn't a path tutorial. This isn't even meant to be a tutorial at all, but you know, any tips and tricks you guys get from this, I'm happy to have helped. But just kind of throw those in. It's a really random placement. And then we're going to get some bushes, and I'm going to use birch leaves for this. I'm just going to kind of mix them in and have them kind of follow the curvature of the build in some way, not all the way. A lot of people go overboard with this step and it just looks terrible. So you got to be very careful when doing that. But I'm going to go ahead and kind of add leaves around the place and I will show you guys the finished product. There it is, guys. That's pretty much the finished build. I mean, it looks pretty cool. Looks pretty spooky if you ask me. I've changed shader packs here to kind of get a good glimpse of it. But I've added a few cobwebs here and there, kind of strategically placed, just hidden away. Some leaves that aren't really going all over it. Like, it's not supposed to mean like it's engulfing it or anything. Excuse the sun there, a little too bright. But just enough to where it is, you know, going up to where it looks like it is in the process of being overgrown. And I did not add the windows. I totally forgot to do that. But I would just add like fences as well, and that's pretty much the thing. But you could even leave them out, and it almost looks like it is abandoned and they've been broken into or something. But yeah, I added a few boulders around the place as well, and I just think overall it turned out to be an awesome little project and just turned out great. And remember, guys, you can build this too, and you can send me your own version of it. I'd love to see how you utilize the tips in this video, because after all, that is what this little mini series is all about. Please let me know what you would like me to build in the next part or episode of this. I don't really know what to call it. I'm accepting challenges because that is what this is. It's a challenge. I'm not going to know what I'm building until the episode is made, and I'm just going to go into it without preparation and see what I can come up with. But I think I did a good job with this one. Let me know what you thought down below, and again, show me your designs and your creations. But anyways, guys, this has been the building challenge for a spooky mansion, Halloween themed type thing. I hope you all enjoyed. You guys have been awesome. Thanks for watching.